All right, this one's big on page 22. Do I need a real estate license? This is a discussion we must have. How many of you in the room have a license? Okay, for those of you listening, that's about 8 people in the room have a real estate license. And for all of you listening to these tapes right now, I know many of you are licensed. All right, if you are licensed, then obviously your choices are, do I get my broker involved or not? Now, I was licensed once, and when I found out I had to go do 72 hours more training over a 7-day period to keep my license, that was the end of my license. That was all I could do to get through the first so-called training. Now, you guys with a license know that you learn a lot of cool stuff in real estate school, except, of course, how to sell real estate, or pretty much anything with the whole process of being an agent. But you do get to learn how many square feet's in a mile and or in an acre and how many feet's in a mile and all of those kind of cool stuff, which does not do you any harm, don't get me wrong. However, if you have a license, that means that you have responsibilities as a licensee. And of course you have to disclose when you have a license to both buyer and seller at the point of a meaningful relationship that you have a license. I can tell you right now, nobody cares, but you still have to disclose. The fact that you have a license is not going to cost you one single deal. What you don't have to do is make a big deal out of it. Sometimes I see realtors on the phone. Hi, I'm a realtor. Before we go any further, I must disclose I'm a realtor. No, you don't. You have to disclose you're a realtor at the point of a meaningful relationship. And to me, that means it's about the time I'm about to write a contract for both buyer or selling. And disclosing, big deal. I put right under my name, a licensed real estate agent. And you complied with the rules. Now, you realtors know what you got to do, but what I need to discuss with you is, you got to decide where you want to be in your relationship with your broker. If you have a license, your broker is responsible for you. And you cannot go out here and do business without your broker being aware of it because you're licensed. So you've either got to have clarity with your broker that all these deals I do on my own, you're not a part of because they do not involve any kind of money going through your accounts or anything from your office. And if your broker says fine, you're okay. If your broker doesn't say fine, then you got a decision you got to make, as you either got to get another broker or put your license inactive, one of the two, or go do deals behind your broker's back and hope that he or she never finds out about it, which obviously is not a good choice. So you got to get clear with your broker about your license before you can do real estate activities. Now, if you have a license, you may choose not to lease option it from the seller, but if you choose not to lease option it from the seller, now you're in the same ballpark us non-licensees are, and that is you're acting as you're not in the same position because you're acting as a realtor. So here's the long and short of this. If you do not have a license, you cannot solicit for buyers for this property until you have it under contract with the seller. You either must have an option agreement or a lease option agreement or a purchase and sale agreement, or you cannot go find buyers by law without a real estate license. Now let's say I'm a realtor or an agent and I go make a deal with a seller. Well, if I do not put it under a lease option contract where I control it, now I'm acting as an agent, which is okay because you're licensed, but I can promise you it's not okay with your broker unless your broker is getting part of the deal or somehow knows that you're doing this transaction. Do you understand what I'm saying, I hope? You're either, if I were you and you have a license, I would get a lease option agreement signed by the seller anyway and act like you don't have a license, yet disclose that you do and not bring it into your broker's business. If you have a lease option agreement signed by the seller, you have an equitable interest in the property, you have the right then to find a tenant buyer for your property. Hello? If you do not have an agreement signed by the seller, you do not have the right to find a buyer and put buyer and seller together. That is one of the 7 functions requirement of a license. Guys, let's face it. What we do is pretty much the same things realtors do. But we control the property, they do not. We have to have an equitable interest based on an agreement. So I'm going to say this again. Do not even solicit buyers until you have a signed agreement with the seller. There are a couple of states, in fact, I'm going to make my big disclaimer, my big CYA right here. You should check with your attorney in your state on this licensing issue and be clear in your own mind before you do this axe deals. And the cautionary measure there is, please make sure your attorney understands what the heck you're asking. If you go into your attorney and you say, can I go find buyers for this seller here and get paid a fee, what's he going to say? No. Yeah, you've got to remember to tell him the part that I'm going to go lease option this property from this seller. Therefore, is there any problem with me finding a tenant buyer and assigning that lease option agreement? And by the way, if there is, it's no different than getting a deal with the bank on property and assigning that agreement. Signing an agreement is assigning an agreement. The state where there's two states that I know of where you really need to check it are Kentucky and Colorado. Something in my mind triggers the fact that you have to have a license to sell an option. However, I don't know. You're going to have to get your attorney to help you define what that means. So, check with your attorney. And if your attorney has a problem with it, you got two choices. Either get another attorney or don't do acts. Or, actually a third choice, get a license. And in fact, people ask me all the time, should I get a license? And my answer is yes or no. I don't know. I will tell you it won't do you any harm. You will learn some good stuff in real estate school as long as you're not going there to expect to learn how to make any money. If you do have a license, it does get you access to the MLS. It gets you keys to get into the houses if you want to do the bank-owned properties. And I'm telling you right now, it puts you dead center of all kinds of these axe deals. Realtors are a great source of axe deals. Everybody they hang around doesn't know what to do with these over-leveraged houses on the seller side. And then think about all the buyers that come through, all your friends in your clique that can't get qualified but have some cash. So as a licensee, you're dead center of all of that. So there are advantages to having a license. And disadvantage is that you have a license. You just have to disclose, plus you have to go to school. And of course, you're going to have to find some broker to hang your shingle under when you have a license. Incidentally, the term realtor, there's no such thing as a realtor. So I hear that all the time. There's no A in the middle of that. It's realtor. And to be a realtor, you have to be a member of the National Association of Realtors. Just because you get a license, you're not a realtor. They want to suck fees out of you, then you're a realtor. Just a tidbit on that.